Welcome back to the Bears Talk podcast. I am your host and the managing editor of BearsTalk.com, Brian Perez, and Chicago Bears fans. Oh my goodness. The Bears are a dumpster fire. Let's talk about it on the Bears Talk podcast.
We're going to be an effort-based team.
Darnell being Darnell.
Love playing football.
Ready to open this thing up. Let them know that we're coming.
I don't know where to begin on this Thursday morning, Bears fans. I don't know if any of us have experienced a day in recent Bears history like we had on Wednesday that involved quarterback Justin Fields kind of, sort of, maybe not really blaming the coaches for his ineffectiveness so far in the 2023 season. We have the defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, resigning under what have become the most bizarre of circumstances. The Bears cut Nathan Peterman, the backup quarterback, who's now going to join the practice squad, paving the way for Tyson Bagent to be QB2 and just sparking more of a fire within the trolls in the fan base who are dying to see Justin Fields fail. Not to mention, the Bears are 0-2, staring down the barrel of Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium in week 3, which is, I mean, as much as I'm a Chicago Bears faithful through and through, it's hard to imagine the Bears pulling off a victory in week 3 with all of this nonsense going on. Let's try to parse through it. First, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast. You can subscribe to the show on any of your favorite podcast providers. You can like and follow the channel over on YouTube. Make sure you're following me at Brian Perez NFL and Bears Talk at the Bears Talk on X and Facebook and anywhere that you consume your social media. I mean, this is crazy. This is just an unbelievable twist and turn and roller coaster ride of a 2023 season that began with such high hopes and expectations. I mean, none of us thought that the Bears were going to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender already under Matt Eberflus, already under Justin Fields' watch as the quarterback, but we certainly had reasonable expectations to expect a functioning organization that would present a decent on-field product and off-field product for the fans to consume, headlined by a star-on-the-rise quarterback in Justin Fields, headlined by an improved roster with a coaching staff that was organized and diligent and detail-oriented, an organization led by a general manager and Ryan Poles with a clear vision and a goal and outline for sustained success. Kevin Warren at the top of the food chain in the Bears organization, who was going to make sure that this team joined the ranks of the successful franchises across the league. And here we are, the Thursday entering week 3. And social media was like on fire, would be putting it lightly, when it came to Alan Williams and the rumors surrounding his resignation. I don't remember anything like this in all my years being, first, a Chicago Bears fan, because that is at my core what I am, and second, covering this team for the various outlets that I've had the privilege and pleasure of doing that for. I don't recall or remember a more bizarre couple of hours where there were some social media, I don't know, do you want to call it reports? Do you want to call it lies? Do we even really know the truth surrounding Alan Williams and what the hell is going on? Here's what we do know. Alan Williams has been away from the team from, I believe the date was September 13th. He left the Bears for personal reasons, dealing with personal matters. He didn't call defensive plays in week 2 in the Buccaneers game. That was left to Matt Eberflus, who we're not really going to go back and discuss the merits and the performance of what Matt Eberflus did as defensive coordinator in week 2. We'll just say results were pretty much more of the same as when Willaims was calling plays, a.k.a. not great. But Willaims has been away from Halas Hall for a while now. The Bears have been very tight-lipped about the reasons why. And the rumor, I'm not even going to kind of repeat what was circulating on social media, first of all, because it's just so horrific, if true, that I really hope the team that I have followed my whole life and have bled the team colors for decades is not associated with an individual, in which some of these allegations are suggesting were happening. There was one report that his home was raided, that Halas Hall was raided. I mean, crazy stuff. You start hearing things like that, speculation runs rampant. And we saw that. We saw the worst of social media on Wednesday, because if what people were saying on social media about Alan Willaims, and look, like I said, I'm not going to repeat it here, but you can do a quick search on X, aka Twitter. It won't take you long to find what some people were suggesting. It's really the bloggers, the aggregators, the YouTubers, none of the Bears beat reporters, none of the credentialed media guys were repeating any of these allegations or suggesting anything was even remotely close to accurate, which at the time had me suspicious because, traditional reporters, journalists have certain ethics and standards that they have to operate under. And part of that is, you can't make any kind of allegation without having some reliable sourced material or information behind it. They were all tight-lipped. They weren't saying anything, which suggested to me that either, number one, they've heard the rumors but can't confirm them. Number two, they were trying to confirm sources, intel that they were gathering. But at the end of the day, some of the allegations that made the rounds through Twitter eventually were, I guess, disproven. The Bears came out and said that Halas Hall was not raided by the police. There's been no law enforcement involvement or interaction related to Alan Willaims. So we have essentially a surface level dismissal of the rumors and allegations. And as of what we know right now, on this Thursday, we will just assume that Alan Willaims is in fact resigning from the Bears because of health reasons and family reasons, which hopefully at some point the Bears should share, like what's actually happening here. I mean, it's not just for me and you and the Bears fans or Bears content creators. I mean, there's a locker room at Halas Hall. There's a locker room at Soldier Field that is expecting Alan Willaims to coach the defense. And he's just not there. He just resigned. And perhaps in-house Bears players know exactly what's going on. But if you follow the Bears beat writers on Twitter, Brad Biggs was basically saying that this is like a shock to everybody. Nobody knows what's going on. This is like, I think Dan Reederer said something along the lines of, it's like a fire and nobody knows where the extinguisher is. This is a problem, Bears fans. This is a problem that starts at the top and runs its way all the way through the rest of the organization. If the Bears are not telling their own players what's going on with Alan Willaims, and they're not being transparent with the media about what's going on with Alan Willaims, instead just sharing a bizarre statement, not even signed by him. It looks like what my sons put together on like Google Docs when they're handing something in, a last-minute homework assignment. I don't know if you guys got a chance to see the picture of Alan Willaims' statement that he apparently turned into the Chicago Bears, but it's like an informal Google Doc, sincerely, comma, space, enter, Alan Willaims, no signature, nothing. Just this weird, I would almost question the authenticity of the document that apparently was his letter of resignation, and that was somehow supposed to be proof of the reasons why he's resigned. Matt Eberflus has not wished Alan Willaims well. If Alan Williams was dealing with a family problem or a health-related issue, you would think the head coach who hired him to be his defensive coordinator would be wishing him and his family well, much like we have seen him do with Nate Davis, the Bears right guard who was dealing with family issues, personal issues. Matt Eberflus was very clear saying, we're with him and we're hoping he's well and all this other stuff that you would expect to be essentially the talking points whenever one of your own is dealing with a crisis. Have any of you heard Eberflus make that kind of statement or comments toward Alan Williams? I haven't. I followed this team very, very closely. The way Matt Eberflus was talking and dismissing questions at his press conference on Wednesday, no updates on that, no updates on that, no updates on that. Almost like if he could say no comment, he would have said no comment. He essentially was saying no comment without saying no comment, which, to be honest, and again, I don't want to throw gasoline on any kind of rumor-based fires, but it's almost like he was advised by counsel not to comment on the situation. And when you have that kind of mannerism, that kind of response to basic layup questions about, hey, what's going on with the defensive coordinator? Hey, he's dealing with some health issues. He's dealing with some family issues. Our hearts are with him. Our thoughts are with him. Get well soon, Alan Williams. Nothing. Folks, we've had nothing like that at all. So my hope is that Alan Williams is well. My hope is that Alan Williams is actually dealing with a health or family issue, because the alternative is much, 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 much worse. If the rumors and allegations have some kernel of truth behind them, this is a huge problem for the Chicago Bears. It's a huge problem for their image. It's a huge problem for public relations. It's a huge problem for the NFL. This would be an absolute worst-case scenario, doomsday crisis for the Bears organization. So let's assume that what the Bears have said today and that what has been essentially the narrative coming out of Hallis Hall regarding Alan Williams, it's health, it's family. He intends on coaching in the NFL again when these issues are behind him. Let's hope so. Let's hope Alan Williams, assuming these are the reasons why he's no longer a Chicago Bears defensive coordinator, let's hope he recovers and he lands on his feet eventually in the future. Who may not land on their feet in the future on this Bears coaching staff is Luke Getsy, the offensive coordinator. And I don't know if you guys have been following along my Twitter feed, but I have been saying from day one of this season, after week one, when the Chicago Bears looked like absolute hot garbage against the Green Bay Packers, the offense specifically, the defense was equally as bad. The Bears need to get rid of Luke Getsy. This is just, you don't have to be a football scholar. You don't have to have elite level football IQ to watch the Bears and understand that there's a problem on offense that has nothing to do with the quarterback, has nothing to do with the offensive line or the receivers or the running backs. There is no identity. There is no methodology behind the play calling. There's no rhyme or reason for the what's happening and why on a down-to-down basis. There's no establishing the running game. There is no rhythm in the passing game. There is just I feel like at times I'm watching my 11-year-old son play Madden. And he's just calling plays with how Luke Getsy is running and managing this offense. And the most frustrating part of the 2023 season so far for the Chicago Bears has been watching the Bears keep Justin Fields caged in the pocket. Again, you don't have to be an elite football mind to know that Justin Fields' greatest asset, his greatest weapon, are his legs, his instincts, his natural feel, and ability to make plays outside of structure, on the move, on the run, using those legs. That's what he does best. That's why he was a first-round pick. And the Chicago Bears have done a wonderful job of ruining that part of his game. It's just a masterclass in how to break a quarterback. That's what Luke Getsy has done up to this point. And Justin Fields on Wednesday, before the Alan Williams meltdown, had quite the, I don't know even how to describe it. When he met with reporters, he essentially blamed the coaches for why he's been struggling. I mean, I know he met with reporters in the locker room after practice and said his quote was taken out of context and misinterpreted, and that he's not blaming the coaches or any specific coach or Luke Getsy, that he has to play better, that he takes responsibility for whatever performance issues have been happening on the field. But just, you know what? Go to YouTube. Watch the press conference. Watch Justin Fields and listen with your own ears. Justin Fields was a dude who's frustrated. He came across like a dude who's frustrated, and he's making it very clear, I am not playing within the rules and structure that Luke Getsy has created for me anymore. He said he's going back to playing with instincts, with his style of play, the style of play that made him a first-round pick. And when he was asked by reporters, well, what's that going to look like on Sunday? He essentially just said, just basically wait and find out. Just watch. Just watch. I was so fired up listening to Justin Fields talk and watching his press conference because he looked like a dude who is going to take control of his own destiny. That's a very dangerous Justin Fields. A Justin Fields who is going to take control of his own destiny, his own fate as the quarterback of the Chicago Bears. That's a Justin Fields that the Kansas City Chiefs do not want to see. He's a pissed off, angry, uncaged, unleashed Justin Fields. That's the Justin Fields we saw in 2022 when he nearly broke the single-season rushing record for a quarterback. That guy, the unleashed, uncaged, dual-threat quarterback who has a chance, as he continues to develop through the league, he has a chance to become arguably the best playmaker at the position in the NFL. Forget the last 2 weeks, guys. Forget what's happened over the first 2 weeks. Forget his passing stats. Forget his completion percentage, the yards, the touchdowns, the interceptions. None of that matters. This is week one for Justin Fields. What he said to reporters today, before he backtracked in the locker room, because you know, and I know, and every Chicago Bears fan knows, that either his publicist or his agent or even somebody inside a house hall told him, look, we can't have the hot clicks, the hot takes, the clickbait featuring Justin Fields blaming the coaches for his slow start. You saw that all over the internet after Fields met with the media. Everywhere was basically saying, every online publication was saying, Justin Fields blaming coaches. Justin Fields blames coaches for poor start. That's what was the takeaway from his presser for a lot of outlets. I didn't see it that way. I didn't see Justin Fields blaming the coaches, just specifically, this is the coach's fault. What I saw it as was Justin Fields basically acknowledging the coaches want me to do this, but I'm better at that. And I'm going to start doing that from now on. Be a leader, man. Take control of your future, take control of your career, take control of your offense, take control of this team. Justin Fields, to me, is a supremely intelligent quarterback. You know, one of the things that really bothers me is when I go on social media and I see all these quote-unquote Bears beat writer quarterback gurus. I mean, I don't know how many, you know, how many of these reads and throws and reps they talk about Justin Fields supposed to be making. Like, you know, Dan Wiederer for, I guess he's the Chicago Tribune, I think he writes for. The way he writes about quarterback play, you would think he had a 15-year career in the NFL. Now, I'm not saying you have to play in the league to know how to play quarterback. I mean, you can take quarterbacks, you can go to quarterback schools, scouting schools, watch all the coaching clinics and do all this stuff and have a really high football IQ for the quarterback position. But, I mean, come on. To dissect every throw Justin Fields is making and to assume that you know better than him where the ball's supposed to go, despite not playing in the chaos of a crumbling pocket around you, or being a quarterback who's been sacked more than any other quarterback in the league and having a little bit of, you know, the mental clock maybe isn't where it needs to be for Justin Fields because the guy's gotten his ass kicked for the last 3 years. But hey, you know what, Danny? You do your thing. You tell us on Twitter where Justin Fields, an NFL quarterback, QB1 since he's been in high school, QB1 at Georgia and Ohio State, first-round pick in the NFL, and a dude who nearly broke the single-season rushing record for a quarterback. You tell him what he's supposed to be doing on down to down. Give me a break, dude. Give me a break. Go kick rocks. That's why I don't listen to any of that stuff on Twitter, especially because there's no context behind it. Dan Wiederer and all those other guys, they're not in the building with Justin Fields. They don't know what he's being told to do by coaches who may be completely incompetent. And Justin Fields is what he called himself today in the press conference. He's a perfectionist. He wants to do the job the way it's supposed to be done, and he trusts his coaches. That's the sign of a very good football player. When you defer to the coaches, they're the coaches. They're telling me to do it this way. I trust them. I rely on them. I'm going to assume it's the right way to do it. Well, guess what? He gave them 2 weeks. And here he is in week 3 with the guys like Dan Wiederer's of the world on his back, non-stop, making it seem like he's headed down a one-way path of being a bust. And Justin Fields is pissed off. And Justin Fields is saying, enough is enough. I've done it your way. It doesn't work, Luke Getsy. I tried it your way. It does not work. Now we're doing things my way. It's like the old meme of, I don't know, remember that movie is with Tom Hanks and the pirate saying, I'm the captain now. Well, Justin Fields just took over the offense. He's the captain now. And Luke Getsy, you're going along for the ride, just like you went along for the ride in Green Bay and rode the coattails of Aaron Rodgers all the way to the offensive coordinator job in Chicago. You're overmatched, underprepared. You're not qualified to be an offensive coordinator in the NFL. I can't stand when some of these guys who ride the coattails of Hall of Fame quarterbacks get these positions, act like they're smarter than everybody else in the room, and obviously get exposed when they're not coaching Aaron Rodgers. They're not coaching Peyton Manning. They're not coaching Tom Brady. The list goes on and on. Look at the offensive coordinators or quarterback coaches who have dealt with or have worked with Hall of Fame quarterbacks and get elevated into head coaching or offensive coordinator positions and look at that rate that they fail. Nathaniel Hackett was Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator, goes to the Denver Broncos, horrendous head coach, horrendous. Everything Sean Payton said was right. Adam Gase was the offensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos. Peyton Manning was the quarterback. Peyton Manning was the offensive coordinator. Adam Gase ends up becoming the head coach of the New York Jets. Absolute disaster. Complete and total disaster. Josh McDaniel, offensive coordinator of the New England Patriots. He's working with Tom Brady for his whole career. Tom Brady makes his career. Josh McDaniels is now on head coaching job number 2, and he's just as bad now as he was when he was with Denver. The list goes on and on with the quote-unquote offensive minds who worked with Hall of Fame quarterbacks who eventually get exposed as being carried by those quarterbacks. Luke Getsy is one of those guys, folks. You may not like it. You may wish it wasn't true. But Luke Getsy was not a variable in Aaron Rodgers' success in Green Bay. He just wasn't. Aaron Rodgers was going to be successful if you or I were in the quarterback room with him, just taking out the trash. If you called us the quarterback coach, he would have had the same level of success in Green Bay. So Luke Getsy is exposing himself for being underqualified for the job that he's tasked with in Chicago, which is develop a young quarterback and build an offense around him. You know who would have been a perfect guy to do this with Justin Fields? Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll did it with Josh Allen. He's doing it with Daniel Jones in New York. He's clearly that dude. He's clearly the engineer of an offense. He can build a quarterback from scratch. He can fix what's wrong with a quarterback and make sure he puts him in positions to be successful. He's proving it in multiple stops with quarterbacks who are better because of him. They're not great regardless of whether he's there or not. That's why if you're looking at if this coaching staff is gone after this year, if Justin Fields does enough over the next several weeks to prove he's a dude. He's a dude. He's just on a team with incompetent coaches, and the change is going to come with the coaching staff, not the quarterback. Justin Fields is going to hang around, but the coaches are going to go. Luke Getsy, Matt Eberflus, all of them. You circle Ben Johnson's name in Detroit, folks, because that dude is making music with that offense with Jared Goff as the quarterback. He's not dealing with a quarterback who's going to the Hall of Fame. He's dealing with a quarterback who the Los Angeles Rams discarded because they thought he wasn't good enough to win with. And this offense in Detroit is humming. And look at the cast of characters that Jared Goff is playing with. It's not like they're overflowing with Pro Bowl receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown. And who? Josh Reynolds? Marvin Jones? Jameson Williams is he's not even playing, and he's a first He's a first-round bust. Rookie tight end, Sam Laporta. And that offense is good. And it's because of that offensive coordinator. So he's the kind of guy who could come in, build up a young quarterback, build a good offensive system that has an identity. You tell me, Bears fans. Hit me up on Twitter, at Brian Perez NFL, at the Bears Talk. What is the identity of this offense? What has it been over the last 2 years? Until Justin Fields decided, I'm going to tuck and run last year, this offense was horrendous in 2022. And it's mind-numbing to me that Luke Getsy, despite seeing how much potential Justin Fields had as a game wrecker in 2022, when they finally took the training wheels off and just said, you know what, screw it. You be you, Justin Fields. Win us some football games, because this Luke Getsy thing, it ain't working. So you be you. And he proved that the minute they allow him to be himself in 2022, the Bears were competitive. The Bears were scoring points. The defense sucked, but they were scoring points. And for one reason or another, Luke Getsy, maybe he goes to the Senior Bowl, thinks he's the next great coaching candidate. That dude is so, he is just not qualified. And we're seeing it in 2023 because Luke Getsy wants the offense to be successful because of him. He does not want Justin Fields to be scoring points and the Bears to be putting up 24 points, 31 points per game because Justin Fields escapes from a broken pocket, runs 35 yards and scores a touchdown. That ain't a Luke Getsy thing, right? That's not, he didn't dial up the perfect play call. Justin Fields hits the open receiver because of how it was schemed up. Bears score a touchdown. Luke Getsy, offensive genius. No, that's Justin Fields making magic, making everyone around him better, including his coaches. And you know what? Luke Getsy is an arrogant, pompous dude. Watch his press conferences. Watch how he basically will throw everyone else under the bus when he's asked about what's wrong with the offense. And when you have somebody who's arrogant like that, they want the credit. He wants the credit. He's been living in the Aaron Rodgers shadow throughout his years in Green Bay. He wants the credit. He does not want to be the offensive coordinator of a team that has a quarterback who's basically the wizard and magician, and it's about the Jimmies and Joes. It's not the X's and O's. It doesn't matter what you call Luke Getsy. Justin Fields is going to do something with it. So it ain't the offensive coordinator. It's Justin Fields. The problem is Luke Getsy has been trying to make it the offensive coordinator who got Justin Fields to do his thing, meaning the offensive coordinator's thing. That's going to get Luke Getsy fired. I think he should already be fired. We're already down a defensive coordinator. Why not get rid of the offensive coordinator while you're at it? Promote Andrew Janocko, but make the quarterback coach the offensive coordinator. He knows Justin Fields better than anybody else in the building. Put him at the OC. Can't get any worse. It's horrendous. Chicago Bears have two talented running backs in Khalil Herbert, and Roschon Johnson looks like he's the real deal. He looks like he's going to be a dude. How are these guys not getting 12, 13, 14, 15 carries? How are we sitting here and combined last week they have 11 carries? How does this happen? We're Bears fans. We want to see a strong running game. We want to see a physical running game. We want to see an offense that has an identity that can maybe not win the game single-handedly, but it certainly can put Justin Fields in advantageous play-action situations. There's no threat of play action right now when you're only giving your lead running back 7 carries. What is wrong with you, Luke Getsy? This is embarrassing. This is embarrassing for all Bears fans. So you know what? When Justin Fields said, I don't know, maybe it's the coaches, when he was asked about the root cause of his problems this year, that dude is 100% right. And he should not have to apologize or backtrack or claim his quotes or his words were taken out of context. They weren't taken out of context, dude. We saw your face. We saw your body language. We listened to your every word. Word for word, copy-paste quote into these pieces that were floating around the league. Now, maybe you didn't blame the coach specifically, but you clearly said, that you're playing robotic because of what the coaches are drilling into your head, a.k.a. Luke Getsy forcing you to be something you're not. That is a problem with the offensive coordinator that either A, ignore the dude, forget he's even in your headset, Call the play and run it your way, man. The next 15 weeks, Justin Fields, this is your offense. Or Chicago Bears, Matt Eberflus, you watched that press conference. You saw it. You heard what your quarterback is saying. Fire your offensive coordinator. Move on. Move on. It's okay. The Bears are already a blazing dumpster fire as it is. You cannot have a more embarrassing day than the Chicago Bears had on Wednesday. What's one more tank of gas on top of the fire? It just burns a little hotter and for a little bit longer period of time. Who cares? At this point, it's all on fire anyway. And we have a game coming up on Sunday against the Kansas City Chiefs that could put Matt Eberflus's immediate future into serious jeopardy. If the Kansas City Chiefs, put up 41 points on the Bears and Chicago only scores 10 and the Bears lose 41-10 after a week as chaotic, disorganized, dysfunctional as this week has been, I'm sorry. I might be crazy, but the Matt Eberflus watch is on. The entire coaching staff could be dismantled over the next 96 hours. This is on you, Matty Eberflus. You were brought into Chicago as a defensive-minded head coach. You were brought into Chicago as an old-school football guy with the football IQ and the teacher's mentality. And you know what? I like Matt Eberflus. I truly like him. But when you have a day like we had on Wednesday, where the organization looks like it is truly deserving of being called the laughingstock in the NFL, at some point, liking a guy versus what's in the best interest of the franchise, those two things sometimes, unfortunately, don't line up. And we're starting to enter the territory where what's in the best interest of the franchise might be a complete cleanse of this coaching staff. Because I personally don't see any way that Justin Fields will be a failure. I know maybe I'm wearing the Bears-colored glasses. I get it. There is plenty of evidence on tape of Justin Fields as a slow processor, Justin Fields missing open receivers. I get it. We've all seen Danny W's tweets doing his thing, bringing the quarterback down. I've seen it. You've seen it. We've all seen it. It's actually kind of annoying now. Like, let's just get to another game. Let's continue to stack games of evidence one way or the other before we make a declarative statement about this quarterback. But at some point, the quarterback has no chance if he's surrounded by a coaching staff that is the definition of dysfunctional. I really hope that Matt Eberflus can prove on Sunday against the Chiefs that he has control of this team, that this team supports him, that this team is still playing hard for him. Because if they come out on Sunday and they lay a goose egg or lay an egg, maybe they score a goose egg, and it's an absolute worst case rock bottom scenario, I don't know. I don't know if Matt Eberflus makes it out of September. Everybody's going to call me crazy, and they're going to say, you're not going to do it. The Bears are not going to create more drama. They're not going to bring more attention onto the franchise that they've, beyond what they've had this week by firing their head coach. I don't think it matters. If this team falls to 0-3, gets humiliated by the Kansas City Chiefs, after a few days earlier being humiliated by everyone in the NFL, their defensive coordinator resigned, their quarterback's calling out the offensive coordinator. You have players that don't know what the hell is going on inside Hallis Hall. NFL teams are businesses. And as a business owner, you have to salvage the reputation of your business at some point. And winning, obviously, is the ultimate deodorant. And winning is what you want a team's reputation to be all about. We are a winning franchise, right? But at the same time, you have to protect the integrity of your brand. And the Chicago Bears brand right now is in trouble. It's in trouble. It's not like Bears fans are going to jump ship and just become fan free agents, but this team has always been held to a higher standard. And those standards were not met this week. The Bears fell incredibly short of those standards on Wednesday. And it's Matt Eberflus, it's his coaching staff, it's the ownership, it's the front office. It's a tough week to be a Bears fan. And the problem is it ain't going to get easier. I mean, remember, Patty Mahomes, the nightmare that keeps coming back. What could have been, right? In that fateful draft when Ryan Pace took Mitch Trubisky. What could have been? It could have been Patrick Mahomes starting against the Chiefs this week, right? We won't even consider reopening that old wound. But that's a reality too. The Bears are going to be on a field against a team facing the greatest quarterback on planet Earth who was there for them to take. And they didn't. And in a way, it feels like the team has been cursed ever since. And it's just almost ironic that during Chiefs week, during the run-up to the Kansas City Chiefs game, we're reminded of just how dysfunctional this team actually is right now. It's embarrassing. The Bears should be embarrassed. Bears fans will continue to be loyal. I'll be loyal. You'll be loyal. We'll all continue watching this team and banging the table for victories and hoping that Justin Fields becomes the guy we all want and need him to be. But we're embarrassed. And this has to get better, and it has to get better quickly. Otherwise, wholesale changes need to be made. What also needs to happen is you need to subscribe to this podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast from, we are there. Make sure you are subscribed to our YouTube channel. Hit the follow button over on Twitter, X, whatever you call it, on Facebook, at Brian Perez NFL, at the Bears Talk. We have a tough couple of days ahead of us, Bears fans. We have a tough couple of days ahead of us, but we're going to get through it together. We're going to get through it on bearstalk.com. We're going to get through it on the Bears Talk podcast. Make sure you like, rate, review, and subscribe. And most importantly, bear down.